So, last night I was speaking with a friend and his brother. Now, both of them are firm leavers. And one of them sent me a video. The lies that the Remain campaign told. Now, essentially, this lie was a number of prominent Remain campaigners saying this is a once-in-a-lifetime vote. Now, you can call this a bit of mental gymnastics, but when I see that, I hear that, I see it as once we leave the EU, there's no turning back. Once we say goodbye to our 80% of this country's wealth comes from the EU. Once we say goodbye to that, we can't just reapply to the EU a year or two down the road and say, yeah, we really fucked up. Can we come back, please? It's not going to happen. But if you are one of those people who are so outraged that so many Remainers lied in such a way, well, here's a fun little bit. Here's just some of the lies that the Leave campaign told. So, first and foremost, we send 350 million a week to Brussels. Not true. Now, it does get a little bit convoluted, but when in terms of subsidies, it goes back to farmers. Subsidies, that does go back to some fisheries. When it comes to work programs to get unemployed people back into work, I was a recipient of one of those, and I was shocked when I found out that our government does fuck all for that, and it is the EU who pay for it. We don't actually pay the EU. We get more from it than we put in. We don't just give 350 million a week. We get so much more back. Second one, we can't stop Turkey from joining. April 2nd, 2019. I'm pretty sure Turkey hasn't joined the EU. I think we stopped them. Number 3, we can't stop a European army. Now, just as a little side note, a European army would be our army. Now, I don't like the idea at all, but it would be our army. The same way that the Gurkhas are from Nepal, but they are part of the British Army. Well, a European army, because we're European, would still be ours. But we've stopped it at every single turn. There's a good argument to make that when we leave the EU, there will be a European army, especially with the current political climate. Vladimir Putin is flexing his muscles all that he can, and he owns America now. Donald Trump does what Putin tells him to do. So yeah, it could happen now, but the whole time we've been a member of the EU, we've stopped it because we're one of the big dogs. Number 4, we are still liable to pay Eurozone bailouts. No, we're not. That is our choice. It has always been our choice because, again, we're one of the big dogs. The UK rebate can be changed against our will. Nothing can be changed against our will. Again, we are one of the big dogs. 9 times out of 10, we tell the EU what to do, not the other way around. And in those rare cases where the EU tell us what to do, it's because we were stupid enough to send over pricks like Nigel Farage, who doesn't do his fucking job. He turns up, he bitches and he moans, and he fucks off home. Doesn't do his fucking job. Our VAT exceptions will be ended. No, they won't, and they haven't been. That is a lie. Cameron's deal was not legally binding. Well, I mean, the Leave vote, the referendum wasn't legally binding. And Cameron didn't actually have much of a deal with them anyway. It's one of them things that makes a really good soundbite, but start pulling on that thread. Doesn't stand up to a lot. EU laws is adopted by unelected bureaucrats. No, but I understand why this one goes through. See, if we don't like them, they're called bureaucrats. If we do like them, by that I mean if they're ours, we call them civil servants. Politicians make the laws, but politicians are not entirely legally savvy. So civil servants or unelected bureaucrats have to go through what the politicians have told them and find ways to make them legally binding. Part of the reason why May's deal was so shit is because she did it and not a civil servant. A civil servant is a bureaucrat. It is the same thing. It's like these dickheads who call themselves expats instead of immigrants. It's the same damn thing. Just because you don't like the word doesn't change what you are. That is a definition. You're arguing with the damn dictionary. We can't control our borders. Again, I've done videos on this in the past. We absolutely have control over our borders. We determine whenever a new member state joins the EU what liberties and what freedoms we are going to extend to that new state. Germany has a different stance to what we have. France have a different stance to what we have. So yeah, we absolutely have control, but of course people like Nigel Farage, Boris Johnson, Theresa May is one of these people. They're very racist and they want you to hate and blame immigrants rather than actually holding politicians accountable. Health tourism costs us billions. No, it doesn't, and this was disproved within the first few months of it coming out. Health tourism is about the same cost of running the NHS for about a day. So no, it's really a drop in the ocean. Get over yourself. PATH referendum results have been ignored. They have not been ignored, but that 6 million signature to stop the 6 million petition to stop leaving the EU, especially with no deal, has been ignored by our government. That's something these people should be pissed off about, but hey-ho. Where are we? Criminals arriving in Germany can get EU passports and come over here. Sounds like something Theresa May would actually come out with. No, it's not. You see, we have something called the European Intelligence. That's nice, proper name. But we have European intelligence and it goes back and forth. So we know where the criminals are in Germany because we have access to that intelligence. The same way that Germany know where all the criminals are in the UK, at least all the ones that are registered, because we share intelligence. The fact that we're now leaving the European Union, especially if we leave with no deal, means that we don't have that access of information as a given. So that could actually start happening because we're leaving the intelligence. But right now, no, it doesn't happen because we know they're fucking criminals because we talk to each other. British Steel suffers because of the EU. Again, this is another one. I understand where it's come from, but it's wrong. And a half-truth is often more dangerous than a full lie. If a business can buy something cheaper from elsewhere, they will absolutely buy it cheaper from elsewhere. Slightly off topic, but I used to work in box factory. I worked there for about 4 years. We made perfume boxes, we made special edition boxes for DVDs and games and whiskey and all this crap. So we make the box and then we put it into an outer box that we call a shipper. Once upon a time, the company that I worked for made these shippers in-house. There was a little area, we made them all. However, got to the point where it was more cost effective to have another company make the shippers and we just buy it from them. So that's what we did. Of course, it did mean that a couple of times we would run out of shippers and we were in a box factory waiting to be able to make a box. But yeah, if a company can find a cheaper alternative, they will absolutely do that. The UK, rightly or wrongly, made a decision to turn more into service-based than production-based industries. So that is why UK steel doesn't do as well as it used to because we are now a service country. When Europe makes steel, we make money on that. So as a country, we haven't had to build it in this country because we're making money on someone else building it. The UK can't deport EU criminals. Absolute bullshit. We absolutely can deport criminals. This has been debunked over and over again. In fact, Theresa May was one of the people years ago saying we couldn't deport someone because they had a cat. She was called out for that lie on the spot, and yet still stuck to it. Shows you the type of person that she is. And by the way, that criminal did get deported just a few weeks later. We can absolutely deport EU criminals, and we do deport EU criminals. The UK is always outvoted. No, we're not. Again, 9 times out of 10, we tell the EU what to do. That's how it goes. The times when the EU tell us what to do is because we've sent over a prick like Nigel Farage who has no fucking intention of doing his goddamn job. He does not represent the people despite the fact that the cunt takes money for it. That is why sometimes, very rarely, we get told what to do. Because we were dumb enough to send over a prick like Nigel Farage. But no, that is a lie. 60 to 70% of law come from EU. No, that's not true at all. Went fuzzy. No, that's not true at all. Now, that there are going to be legal gaps in our books when we leave the EU, but these are protections for workers. Now, with all due respect to everyone who says it, yes, we have the Magna Carta, but it means dick. This government right now is in court arguing that if you are disabled, you shouldn't have human rights. When we leave the EU, they will absolutely strip workers' rights because that's what they want. The only thing that's been stopping them is the EU holding them to account. The EU do not make 60 to 70% of our laws. That is a lie. We make our laws, and in the instances where we don't have to make our laws, again regarding workers' rights and so on, those laws already exist because as part of the EU, we have to reach a certain standard. They don't tell us what to do. We have to be a better. Renationalizations of industries is impossible. Again, no, it's not impossible, but as a country, we have decided to become more service-based, not production-based. You can argue that that's right or wrong all day long, but the point is that the end of the conversation is that's what we elected to do. We chose to become more service-based. So we are more service-based. There is nothing stopping us from becoming more industrialized. Absolutely nothing at all. But we don't do it because established industries have a lot of money. So established industries tend to pay into conservative and right-wing parties more than they do left-wing parties, which means corruption in politics, bribes, dark money, this, that and the other. And that's where all the fucking problems come from. Not because a foreign body is making us money when we're not doing anything. We have the option. We chose to be more service-based. Last one. We thought we were only joining a free trade zone. Absolute bullshit. Now, there are more. I will link this down below. My mate and his brother I was talking to are very much pro-British Empire. Now, I could list off the number of atrocities that the British Empire committed, the genocides, the rapes, the murders, the slavery, the unprecedented violence and malice that they don't teach in schools because we like to think British Empire was drinking tea and being civilized. Truth is, we were cunts. So yeah, the world doesn't want to see that come back. But an argument could be made that we renamed the British Empire after the Second World War. See, we had to give up certain things to get America on board with the war. That's, while they love to say they won the Second World War for us, Russia did a fair old bit themselves, but one of those things was waving goodbye to the British Empire as we knew it. But again, we are one of the big dogs of Europe. 9 times out of 10, we tell the EU what to do, and certainly nothing happens in the EU without our say-so. Absolutely nothing happens without our approval and without us agreeing to it. So a good argument could be made that the British Empire just got renamed the European Union. When Germany sells a car to Japan, we make money on it. When France sells a bottle of wine to Australia, we make money on it. So there it is. For all the prominent leavers out there who say that the Remain campaign lied because they said this would be a once in a lifetime or once in a generation vote, those were just some of the lies that were spewed from the Leave campaign. Which is also why when someone voted to leave the EU, no one voted for the same thing. Because there were so many damn lies. Everyone who voted leave voted for something different. And now they've managed to get enough people to think that it was always leaving with no deal right from the get-go. It is horseshit. It is another lie. And thanks to the biased right-wing media that we have in this country, they've managed to get away with it.